So I'm Ruth Shinoda. I'm the chair of the steering group for the Government Women's Network, and currently I am the Deputy Chief Executive at the Education Review Office as my day job. So I think that's a really good question, because I don't know which I found more challenging. It was really hard, like really hard, because you're never off. And personally, I found myself completely mentally split, because whilst I'm in one room, and luckily I have a room which I can separate out and Zoom and chair meetings. I'm chairing a meeting with 20 people, and yet I know just through the wall next door is my 12-year-old who's waiting for me to finish so she can ask me a question about what she's stuck on at school. And I know in the room otherwhere is my 14-year-old who's doing her first lot of NCAs and is, either struggling or wants a break, and so I never felt that I could completely turn off family life. And as we're still in COVID, I'm still finding both challenging. So they were differently challenging, and yet they had a common element. So for me, the common element was that sense of responsibility that you feel as a parent, but you also feel as a leader. Responsibility to ensure that your kids are okay and your family's okay. Responsibility to your parents yourself. And my parents are in England, where it's been much worse than here, and my husband's parents are in Japan. And then in a work context, responsibility for the organisation as a senior leader, and how we can guide the organisation through it. And in both spheres, you're making decisions really fast about how you're working, how as a family you're operating, the support you're providing for your family. And then over here, you're having to make really quick decisions in the role that I was in about, are we in the office, are we out the office, what are we doing for our staff, what's the offer for our staff, how do we support them? So the common challenging bit was feeling that there's no roadmap. There's no Parenting 101 in Lockdown guide. It's not like when I got pregnant with my first, and you can buy the What to Expect When You're Expecting book and just work through the weeks. And there's no roadmap for being a senior leader in lockdown. Being the Chief Operating Officer of the Treasury at the time, there was no roadmap of how you look after the Treasury in lockdown. We did lots of other contingency planning, but both of them were unique experiences. And so I found them both differently challenging, but both challenging because it was heading into the unknown and always wondering, are you doing the right thing? So for me, the main thing is that connection. So as a steering committee, what we're looking to do is support the women's networks to reconnect with their members. That can be virtually, it can be online. We've got some great successes, examples of how that's been done. It can be face-to-face, it can be informal, it can be formal. What remains is that reconnection, that re-establishment of, we're in this together, we're here for each other, we're here to support each other. There's no dumb question, no one's got all the solutions, but we're more powerful by connecting together. I've seen some of that already happening, and it's really exciting, like when some of the networks in Auckland are making those really strong connections, and from it helping each other through. Often we find commonalities, the problems I'm dealing with, another person will have already dealt with, and will be able to say, well, actually, you don't have a roadmap, but here's one that I've started to build. So what the main thing we're looking for is for women's networks to really connect and deepen those, because some of those connections just naturally will have fallen away in this difficult time. Reconnect, and then reconnecting with their agency at a more senior level and saying, look, we're here, we're strong, we're here to support women in the organisation, we're here to help network women in the organisation, and how can we help the agency as well, because all agency CEs will be worrying greatly about their people, their well-being, their networks and their connections. And one of the particular things we're looking at is how do we overcome the challenges which are there to make those connections and networks. For example, on the South Island, there were always those challenges of the distance and the spread. Public servants, women in the public sector in the South Island are often quite far from each other. And now with much more limited travel, travel's more expensive and more difficult, and people working more remotely is additionally quite difficult. But the Southern Government Women's Network is doing an amazing job and is growing all the time. And to be honest, a lot of our other networks across the country can learn from the way that they're breaching that distance to connect, not just virtually, but also when you're in town for something else, making that connection. There's some big challenges there, but from those challenges is coming some great innovation that I think will last. I've got a 2-year term and I've got 1 year left. The first year was different than I've expected. We launched our strategy in February, which set out clear priorities and our vision to empower all women, but then we had COVID. So now personally, in my second year, I'm focusing on 3 priorities as we move towards empowering more women. The first is to reach more women. There are still women out there who feel lonely or isolated or unsupported, or who could just benefit from connecting and networking with other women. We know agencies which don't have government women's networks, or women within agencies, often in the regions, who find it harder to make that connection. So that's my first priority, is to reach more women. The second one's linked, which is for the Government Women's Network to be really sustainable, to move from being a start-up to being part of the furniture, that no one questions our existence, that we have a strong and powerful networks of women, and that we are set up to succeed for the future. And then the third is thinking about the range of women that we're here to support. It's really clear that we will be stronger if we support other employee networks to also thrive like we've thrived. So I'm thinking of the Rainbow Network, the Pan-Asian Network, the Disability Network, all of which we can support because we're slightly further on that journey. And that's a big priority for me. There's over at the end of the time, we've reached more women, we've set up the Government Women's Network to just thrive on a sustainable basis, and we've reached out to other employee networks and supported them on their journey, because together we'll be stronger.